so good! What the fuck? What's going on? It's your boy Tewn. So I'm 2 weeks deep into Spellbreak, and just the other day, Shroud, big boy Shroud, was playing Spellbreak. His experience the first time playing was a little interesting. You know, someone as godly as him at games, you'd think that he would dominate as soon as he started playing Spellbreak, but that wasn't the actual case. Now, Spellbreak is an insanely fun game, but there is one blaring issue, like a big issue, and that is how hard the game is when you first start to play. Spellbreak, even though it's in closed alpha, they don't really have much of an introduction to the actual game. There's no tutorial, there's no documentation where it tells you what all the items do. They do have a list of classes at the main menu that tell you what each one does and what each skills do, but they don't show you what skills can mesh together really well. There's no introduction to good basic classes to start out with. They may say that Bulwark is good to start with and Crackshot is harder to master, but personally, man, even though I've been playing for 2 weeks, Crackshot isn't that hard to use. If anything, it's one of the easier classes. You use Crackshot and it speeds up your projectiles. And when every single gauntlet that you get in this game is a projectile, that is massive. Whether you have a frost gauntlet, right, where you're sniping out your frost bolts at people, you could speed up your shots from that up to 90%. That's not something that's really hard to master. To me, that's something that's super good for a new player. That helped me a lot when I was first starting to play, especially when it's hard to hit your shots with how quickly people move around. Spellbreak has gauntlets, items like boots, belts, you have amulets, you have potions, you have runes. There's a lot to know and there's a lot to learn. Shroud didn't really know anything about that. Now, when he first started to play, there were people in chat trying to tell him these things, but when someone is that size and their chat is moving that quick, no one's going to be able to read everything that chat is saying. Now, that's a problem that can really only be solved by having an in-game tutorial. Apex did that really well, where they showed a lot of basics with the zip lines, the different weapons you could try out. And although Spellbreak does have a tutorial mode, or not tutorial, sorry, a practice mode, where you can try out all the different items, it's not really laid out in an easy way where you can see it all at once. For me, when I'm in practice mode and I'm looking at the different items, you can only really see them one by one. I forget what an item is pretty much 10 seconds later once I'm using a different one. Now, after I've been playing for about 2 weeks, I do know what a few items do, like Slay King will let you drink your potions faster, the Behemoth Belt and Behemoth Amulet give you more health and armor, but there's a lot more that you can use as well. And with the new patch, a lot of items changed too. So I think personally, a document where you can see what all the items currently are doing and how they could affect your builds would be a good thing to have. And I may make something like that coming up soon. DrLupo was playing Spellbreak the other day as well, and when Lupo was playing, he was having a bad time too. Unfortunately, when you're a streamer, just a big content creator of those sizes, we have thousands of people watching, you're gonna get stream sniped. Shroud and DrLupo, they both definitely got stream sniped. Now, I think Lupo got it a bit worse than Shroud, I would say.
You know who I am, don't you? Yeah, you do. That's why he keeps popping away and he's not fighting me. That's somebody from chat.
But at the same time, it wasn't like the community was just gunning straight for them. People were pretty good, but it's still going to be a case and it's still going to be an issue because people do want their name to pop up on the screen in front of 20, 30,000 people saying, hey, I killed Shroud, or hey, I killed DrLupo. So it's definitely something that was apparent. Now, whenever a large streamer or just general YouTuber or anybody is going to be playing Spellbreak, the community is going to get excited. It's going to be more players, more traffic, and that means more people looking at the game, and the game is going to get bigger. It's going to be more popular, and who doesn't want Spellbreak to be popular? It is an awesome game, but it's in closed alpha. There's a long way for it to go. And because of all this excitement, it's giving larger content creators, in my opinion, not the best first time experience when they're playing the game, because everybody is seeing how badly they're going to be doing when they're first playing. It's not like going from PUBG to Apex or PUBG to Fortnite, even though Fortnite's kind of difficult with all the different wacky items and builds that you can be doing with your ramps, walls, and floors, and the different traps. Spellbreak is third person like Fortnite, but the mechanics and the feel of the game is completely different. So one, it's a hard to learn game. Like I was saying earlier, between all the items, the gauntlets, the projectile speeds, you have to learn the map layout, how quickly people can get up next to you, you can go invisible, all kinds of different mechanics. They're going to be playing pretty badly in the beginning. So if someone starts to get self-conscious on how they're playing, or their chat starts to see, hey man, like buddy, you've died 6 times in a row and you're gonna start getting some kills, or go back to Fortnite, go back to Apex. That's gonna be a little bit daunting for someone who's a creator like that to keep their audience entertained. At least that's something I would think about for sure. Even if it's a fun game and it's great and you will get better over time, with everyone just being lumped into one match, some people being disgusting at the game because they're veterans, and other people being brand new, you're gonna get destroyed, whether you're a large content creator or you're a normal player. And that's one of the things about Spellbreak 2 is that they need to make the game easier for new players, or make it easier for them to transition into the game. So whether it's a tutorial, an introduction, some kind of information to let people know, hey, these tips would be absolutely awesome for you to know. And if you do take the time to learn them, you won't get bodied as badly when you first start playing Spellbreak. It's definitely a game that takes a little bit of time. Now, Proletariat is already aware of all of these problems, and they're already doing what they can to pretty much solve them, or at least do what they can for them. Now, what we need to do as a community, so that's me and you cutie, is help them, or do what we can to help assist, newcomers come into the game. When bigger creators start to play, or a new player that comes into your chat, or just messages you, or that you see in Discord, or that you squad up with, and they got voice comms saying, "Oh, hello, Tewn, it's my first time playing," give them some tips. Help ease them in, play a few more games with them, let them know some things that they could, figure out about the game. I'm still learning combos and things that I can add just from other people telling me what's going on. There are people in Shroud's chat that were trying to help, but again, because it was moving so quick, it's hard for that to get through. But that just showcases some of the many beauties that are in this community. Now, in patch 2.0, Proletariat did introduce like a makeshift tutorial in the actual Spellbreak game once you go into the main menu, but it brings you to a 7-minute video on YouTube made by one of the creators in the community. Now, I feel like that definitely helps a little bit, but it's still not an in-game tutorial. It's a video that you can watch. Now, that's absolutely progress, and it's definitely something that's going to be helping people that start to play the game if they watch the video. But eventually, I know that Proletariat will introduce some kind of actual concrete tutorial to help bring people into the game. But right now, again, documents that can tell people tips, good combos for classes, what all the gauntlet combinations can be, what each item will do for you, and also just new tips for players that'll be general good information to know. Top 10 tips, top 5 tips, stuff like that. When I first started playing, I did watch a few, and when I watched a video by another content creator, RF Legendary, I actually won my first 2 games right after that, simply because I learned a lot from that video. And that's a good thing about the community, is that there are videos on YouTube that are helping people learn the game. Some people have mentioned matchmaking and MMR. I don't know too much about that, right, when it comes down to the mechanics behind everything and how you get that set up. But I know with MMR, you need a lot of players for that. And right now in Spellbreak, it's still in closed alpha. You can actually get your Spellbreak alpha key for free for the closed alpha right now, within a week or 2. And I'll be making a new video on that very soon, probably within a day or 2. And if you use that, you'll be able to get into the game. It's awesome, it's free, why not? But to get a MMR matchmaking into the game, I believe that there needs to be a lot of players on it, so the population just isn't big enough for that. Eventually, too, I know that they have said that they want to introduce other game modes to Spellbreak. Battle Royale as a mode is fun, but I feel like after playing Spellbreak for a couple weeks, it would really shine in an arena type format. 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 3v3s, man. I feel like all of those would be baller to go into. Imagine being able to pick your class and your gauntlet and then diving into a 1v1 at any time. And then that could have a matchmaking. That could have a nice leaderboard. And I feel like that would be a super good way to learn too. At least with that way, they could have a bronze, gold, silver, platinum type ranking system like some other games. Even if it's not the best in the beginning, it'd be a way to kind of have new players face the other new players too. At least until the Smurfs start to come into play, and then you're gonna get wrecked regardless, which is kind of brutal. But that's just a culture of any type of matchmaking style game. So if Shroud and DrLupo have trouble playing Spellbreak, and these guys are both super good gamers, I mean, personally, I think Shroud is, like a better gamer than Lupo, but Lupo's a beauty too. Like, who's trying to talk down to Lupo? Lupo's a beast too. Anybody else will have a problem playing Spellbreak 2 in the beginning. It's a hard game to get into. It's got a high skill cap, but it's got a high ceiling too. I think that's the right term, right? High ceiling? High skill floor. So it's hard to get into, but you can also get really, really good depending on how often you play or how good you get. But the good news is, amongst all of that, is that the community is doing everything it can to help new players come into the game right now. But we can still do better, and we can still do more to help introduce people into Spellbreak. The more we do, the more people will continue playing, the more new people will come and keep playing. Proletariat's doing what they can too, and down the road, they're going to have a lot more in the game to help introduce people to Spellbreak. For now, Spellbreakers just need to do what they can to help newcomers and help ease their process getting into the game. And then boom, we're good.